Hi there, welcome to Tree of Life Spiritual Guidance. My name is Hannah, and today we're going to be doing a transit and tarot. So I'm just going to talk to you guys about a current transit that we're all collectively going through, and then I'm going to get us a collective tarot reading related to dealing with this particular transit. And just as a little primer, a transit is when it's basically what are the planets doing in the sky right now? What energy is affecting everybody here on Earth at the moment? So, when you're born, you have a natal birth chart, which basically is a map of the exact transits that were happening. So the relationship between the planets when you were born, the very moment that you were born. So just as a little primer, that's what a transit is. And I'll describe what transit we're going to be talking about today. But before I jump into it, I just want to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And if you wouldn't mind throwing me a subscribe, liking the video if you do end up liking it, throw me a comment, let me know what you think, or if you have anything to add. Whoops. And yeah, I would really appreciate that as I try to grow my little channel here. So jumping right into today's transit that we're talking about. So we are talking about Mercury conjunct to the planet Pluto. So what do you guys need to know about this in general? Mercury, here you can see on the card, they say think, learn, network, and communicate. Mercury has a lot to do with the mind. It has to do with our thoughts. It has to do with the way we speak, the way we write, the way we communicate. It also rules our local network, our neighborhoods, our casual friendships, our acquaintances, things of this nature. So a lot of what's been going on, as you guys maybe know or maybe don't know, we're just coming out of a Mercury retrograde. When Mercury is in retrograde motion, it means that from Earth, its apparent motion is that it's moving backwards in the zodiacal signs. So while we know Mercury is not literally moving backwards, from Earth, at the speed Earth is moving and the speed Mercury is moving, it's such that now it appears Mercury is actually retrograding. It is moving backwards in the signs. So we're just now moving direct for a few days now, not even a full week. So what does this all mean? It means that we were in a very reflective state, a more socially, a more pulled back state. We also were slowing down because Mercury is a planet that moves extremely quick, extremely fast. Mercury is ruled, Mercury's the messenger. I believe that's Apollo in Greek or Roman mythology. Correct me if I'm wrong here. But the point being, it's the messenger. It's moving very fast. And when it retrogrades, we slow down, we reflect. The energy feels almost kind of lethargic and stuck in a way. But it's because it's a time meant to go inward, a time meant for reflection, okay? Okay, so next, conjunction. A conjunction is when a planet is right on top of another planet. Basically when they are joined together, when from Earth's perspective, they look like they are like on the same degree of that zodiacal sign. So basically Mercury is conjunct to Pluto. So what do you need to know about Pluto? You can see here, this is the card Transform. You see that, this skull ruling endings, ruling death, ruling in many ways the darker emotions. Pluto packs a punch. Now, Pluto, whenever Pluto's involved, in traditional astrology, they call it the great malefic planet, meaning people can be associated with difficulties, challenges, maybe bad luck in a sense, although I don't really prefer that concept because the way I see Pluto is a Pluto process is going to just require sometimes it can bring about, or it does often bring about, our darkest thoughts, our most compulsive thoughts, maybe even abusive things people have said to us, very negative patterns, self-defeating patterns. Pluto is going to essentially create a wound, or it indicates a wound. It indicates deep-seated kind of obsession, control issues as well. But that require or ask us evolutionarily to progress, to find healing, to in fact, identify those wounds and go through a deep process of healing. So what do we see with Mercury conjunct to Pluto, right? We see that there are thought patterns and maybe ways we're interacting with our network or ways that we're speaking to people, but especially what I'm addressing today, thought patterns that have to do with deep-seated wounding, have an imperative to be healed. So basically that's the transit, Mercury conjunct to Pluto. And what's interesting about this transit is it's been coming up a lot because Mercury went retrograde and now is going direct. We had Mercury conjunct to Pluto right at the start of the retrograde, and now it's coming back as we move forward through the zodiac again. So why is that important? Because we've had an opportunity now through the retrograde to find some growth. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today and focus on today with the tarot spread reading. So let me remove these and I'm going to tell you guys about the tarot spread and then we'll get going with it. So today's tarot spread, we're going to talk over here about collectively. So that means, what do I mean by a collective reading? I mean that if you came to watch the video, the reading's meant for you. By the way, this video is in fact timeless, even though it has to do with a current transit. This is just interesting energy to explore whenever you find this video. And furthermore, this may be something called an aspect, meaning that this was a transit that occurred when you were born. So check out your natal birth chart and see if you have the aspect of Mercury conjunct to Pluto. And then this message will really, really strongly apply to you on a more personal level as well. Excuse me. Okay, so today we're going to be doing thought patterns that we were healing during the retrograde. What new thought patterns are emerging for us now that we're moving into direct motion? And then what advice does spirit, the angels, ancestors, universe, God, whatever resonates, have for us as far as keeping up this forward momentum of these new emerging thought patterns, okay? So that is what we're doing today. I'm very excited to get going. So let me start with my Lenormand deck here that I'm gonna get for each position. So do me a favor and just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. Release that breath and get nice and grounded. I'll do the same here. Spirits, angel guides, ancestors, universe, God. Please send the collective that's watching this video. Please send us a message for our highest good today. Messages only in the light for our highest good. And please send us healing through these messages. So, Spirit first. What thought patterns do we start healing? What new thought patterns are emerging for us? Emerging thought patterns, please. And, okay. Okay. What thought patterns are we healing? What thought patterns have we been healing through the retrograde period? Thought patterns have we been healing through the retrograde period? New thought patterns emerging, please. And finally, what advice do you have for us to keep the momentum going forward? Beautiful. Okay. All right, so we're going to take it one pile here at a time, but the overall message and energy we have the Page of Cups, okay? So Page of Cups. Off the bat, Page of Cups is about emotional authenticity. So what I'm sensing is that one of the big healing themes is about integrating our honest, pure, innocent emotions into our thinking. So I'm sensing that all of us can sometimes have a bit of a heart to mind divide, and we have trouble coming into oneness when it comes to integrating our feelings, our desires, our truthful heart space, and integrating that into our thinking and our communication. I'm actually really sensing, because the pages have to do with communication, as does Mercury, right? And it has to do with our friends, our acquaintances, our network. So also our work environment to some extent, or our network in the work environment. So this is also about communication of feelings in an honest way, in an authentic way, and integrated with our truest, most innocent feelings, because the page is also a very innocent and youthful energy. Please forgive the barking dogs. That's just the neighborhood. Got some chihuahuas across the street. You know how it is. So, okay, that the overall message that I'm really getting is that right now we're integrating, and you see this water, we're integrating our honest, truthful, emotional state and emotional feelings into our thought patterns and into our communication as well. So let's keep going here. Now let's see if I can put these where you can see it. There we go. Okay. Okay, so let's start here with thought patterns. Are we starting to heal? Let's start with our Lenormand. Coffin. Boy, oh boy. This is the feeling sometimes of restriction. This can be the feeling of endings. This can also be really negative thinking. So that seems kind of obvious. But I think what that means is that we're not allowing the process of rebirth to happen in many ways. You know, I'm seeing here that this 9 of diamonds here represents the 9 of pentacles in the tarot deck. So what I'm seeing is the imperative here is to move forward into a sense of independence. I'm also noticing the way she's isolated. She's like, and her face is covered and she's hiding, right? So there's a sense, I think that there's some thinking about that being alone is a negative thing. Excuse me, let me take a sip here. I think we're all having a thought pattern that endings are negative and isolation, and we're feeling isolated. So isolation is very negative. But yeah, let's clarify this even more. Also, by the way, the 8 represents the Strength card. So again, the Strength card is very, very peaceful. It's very much about through that peaceful, surrendered energy, surrendering to our beast in our minds, right? That we have the potential to then tame those mental beasts. And with the 9 of Pentacles, we have the potential to find solitude as actually a positive sense of independence, we can fulfill ourselves, we can nurture ourselves. That's the potential here. And I'm seeing some green and blue. So that's also, again, about speaking the truth, but from our hearts, you know? So again, we're seeing this theme of the integration between our emotional truth and speaking our truth and the way we think about our truth and then communicate it to others, okay? So yeah, I kind of got a few messages. I feel like that was a bit free form, but let's see what else develops here. Okay, so we have Page of Pentacles, 3 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, and the sun. Okay, I just want to start with the sun. We were really working on healing our inner child here, for sure. And we had a wound to our inner child. I'm getting the sense with the sun and the Six of Pentacles, which I believe did come out one after the other. What I'm really getting the feeling of with these cards is that we were not giving to ourselves. We're not giving to our inner child in the sense of we're having thought patterns that are very harsh or hard, or in a sense, maybe neglecting the needs of our inner child. You know, that connects back to the Page of Cups in many ways, that, you know, the inner child has an innocent emotional state, right? And perhaps when we were younger, one of our wounds has to do with neglect and not receiving enough approval for essentially our emotional truth, what we really felt, or that maybe even we felt shame or we were shamed over speaking that truth. Here we see the fish, right? But here's a fish out of water and here's a fish in a cup. So maybe when we spoke our emotions in the past, we learned, you can see it kind of looks like it's being yelled at, right? We can see in a sense that maybe we were punished for that or made to feel ashamed, made to feel badly about telling people about our honest emotions. Maybe in that way we learn to stuff our emotions down, you know? We learn to, you know, cover them up and stuff them down. Page of Pentacles, you know, that's really, again, we have another communication card. So I think, you know, we've been healing the ability to also think about other people in relationship to ourselves with compassion, you know? With this Page of Pentacles, I'm also sensing jealousy just came to me. A sense of jealousy, a sense of admiring what the other has and comparing ourselves, you know. And I see that, you know, with these two cards, you know, coming out with the Three of Cups, which can have to do with friendship, can have to do with, you know, people getting together and feeling great. And you can see, so here's, you know, everyone together and here's kind of feeling left out, kind of singular, you know, and as far, I'm getting jealousy and I'm getting comparisons, with others. So very interesting. I think we've been healing some inner child wounds, you know, having to do with the way other people, maybe even friends, you know, the way friends receive us when we speak our emotional truth, you know. I also just heard a message about sometimes it's good to keep things to ourselves, only in so that they can stay pure and innocent. You know, maybe there's an urge to over divulge our emotional truths or divulge them too quickly before we've had a chance to process them ourselves. So these are the messages that I'm getting that I think we've been healing. So let's see what new thought patterns are starting to emerge for us. Okay, so we're moving from the coffin to the ship. Okay, and the ship is definitely about forward momentum, and it's about taking a journey. So I'm really sensing that we're moving from feeling limited, from feeling limited in our thoughts, from feeling stuck in our solitude, to looking at our thoughts as a chance to adventure. You know, maybe this is also about engaging with life more, but through our minds, through being curious about other cultures, you know, traveling in the sense by reading a book. I mean, like reading rainbow energy. You know what I mean? Like you can go anywhere when you read a book. Like I'm sensing that, like and also just opening our minds to positivity, to feeling that our ships could be coming in soon. The things we wish for ourselves could be coming in soon. So let's see what else comes out here. I'm curious. Oh, the Lovers, how beautiful. The Magician, how beautiful. Four of Swords and 10 of Wands. Okay, I just want to start with 10 of Wands because I think, you know, I'm getting back to the idea of sort of emotional honesty and emotional truth here, and holding it on the inside. I mean, wands have to do with passion, but also to do with our intuition. So I feel like we have this inner knowing that we're starting to engage with. But this can also be like a heavy burden. So the Lovers, though, you know, the Lovers is very much about balancing our internal state and our internal self. And as I was talking about, I was getting this message about balancing our emotions with our thinking, with our minds. And so here, the Lovers, we get this sense of yin yang, of perfect balance, of sun, moon, light, dark, you know what I mean? Male, female. So yeah, we're coming into how to be emotionally truthful, how to integrate our emotions to our minds so that we don't have to carry this heavy. It doesn't feel so heavy. It doesn't feel so heavy, I think. See, and look, we have the heart represented here. Very much. And then we have their skulls coming together. So heart and mind. We're integrating emotional truths into our thinking patterns, which is bringing positivity, the Magician, manifestation, positive thinking, believing that we have all the skills, you know, embracing. The Magician's also card number 1. I always feel such a youthful energy with the Magician, you know, the soul coming into its light, coming into its enlightenment and coming to it. You know, I see the deep red here and the cup here, you know, integrating our emotional truth and our emotional honesty and allowing it to help us rise up, integrating our passion, our intuition, with the real world, you know, with our thinking, with the sword, you know, all the elements are present for the Magician. So there's a sense of wholeness, a sense of truth, and also positivity, you know, communicating. And also, I think with manifestation, you know, when I was speaking about we don't always need to come forward and tell everybody everything, I think sometimes manifestation can be really positive when we allow it to be a process that we keep for ourselves for a time. You know, people say move in the dark, or people say, you know, show it, don't speak it. And there's some reality to that when we allow our thoughts and those emotional truths to come out while they're still in this infant state, when they're still in an early stage of development, sometimes they can get muddied, you know, by other people's opinions or, you know, other people's baggage, you know what I mean? And then they put it onto you, and people, you know, so I think that we're emerging a sense of trust within ourselves. And through that trust, we don't need to look to the approval of others so frequently. And through that balance within ourselves, we don't need to look to the approval of others so frequently. And then 4 of Swords is about healing the heart. So I definitely think, as much as Mercury is conjunct Pluto, and that's about our thinking, so much of what Pluto is asking us to do is to find heart healing in order to integrate that into the way we think about ourselves. And again, I'm getting, you know, because we have this 9 here, you know, 9 represents the Hermit, that solo energy. I do think some of us are probably dealing with heartbreak, grief, loss, you know, any type of grief and loss, and integrating those feelings into our thoughts, but in a way that isn't so negative, isn't so burdensome, isn't so like everything is over, and, you know, but embracing kind of a rebirth, embracing our magic, you know, finding some acceptance and some quiet. I think this could be about meditation, learning to quiet our minds and learning to recognize when we're having that heart upset and the way that that's affecting our thinking. So I think this is a lot of what's emerging. Okay, let's take a peek and see what advice Spirit has for us. Fox. Now, this is so interesting to me. By the way, the 3 has to do with the Empress, so this is very self-nurturing energy. You know, in a way it relates to strength, because I think when you're in that really compassionate, nurturing, mothering energy to your own thoughts and to your own heart pain, that really helps us come into the strength energy of taming those beastly thoughts, with compassion. Okay, but moving on here, 5, 5 is Hierophant, 14 reduces to 5. So that would represent the Hierophant in the major arcana, which is really beautiful because that's real higher level. I think Spirit is letting us know that really collectively we've had a big breakthrough. Now, Fox is cunning. Fox is strategic. So I think I'm almost getting the sense that the training wheels are off, that it's, we can now kind of move forward. I'm getting this Fox is like kind of ready to pounce, and she's looking, they're focused together, she's looking in the same direction as the Fox. So I think we're also turning our attention now, because we've done so much heart healing and we've made a lot of progress in the integration, and we're feeling positive about this forward movement. I'm really getting the sense that to keep that going, we can actually start to move our thoughts toward some future planning, actually, and a way to be strategic to get our heart's desire. We can use our mind, magician. We can use our mind to get what it is we want when we focus positively on what it is we want. And when we focus on the idea that we can get the outcome, positive outcomes, I think a lot of times we just get stuck ruminating on this could go wrong, that could go wrong, and my heart could get hurt this way and that way and this way and that way. If I take whatever risk it is, if I go on the journey that I'm being called to go on. And Fox is saying, no. Use your mind strategically. Understand that your mind is the key to getting what it is that your heart desires. And that key has to do with the positive thinking. And listen, that doesn't mean you don't process grief and pain. That doesn't mean you don't go through the stages of that. That doesn't mean you banish any negativity. It simply means for as much time as you spend thinking about what could go wrong, which the Fox does, the Fox is strategic. It is important to reflect on what could go wrong, but to make space for an equal amount of time spent thinking what could go right, thinking about those thoughts that feel delicious to us. Oh, forgive me, I just got a call. But I think it's a perfect time to move from the Lenormand card because I'm just getting so much from the Lenormand card. I want to see what else comes out here. So we have the Emperor. Oh, beautiful. Wow. King of Swords. Temperance. Two of Pentacles. Okay. I want to start with this Two of Pentacles energy. Two of Pentacles, again, can speak to that imbalance. So when it comes to that imbalance, temperance. Yes, keep going with balancing your emotions with your mind. And also a warning, a little bit of a warning to you, King of Swords, Two of Pentacles, not a warning, but it goes with what I was already saying, which is the sense that when you're in an emotional state or a state of feeling unbalanced, you won't be seeing things objectively. It's important to let the waters of our mind settle, balance out through healing, temperance, so that we can think objectively, think clearly, and think positively. The King of Swords uses his mind strategically like the Fox, and it is strategic to allow for positive possibilities, in fact, but in a mature manner. So again, that's another version of balance, I think, that Spirit wants us, or the next phase of this, is once we find that exuberance and that positivity, how do we also balance that with maturity? Balance that with reason and logic, but still, again, emotion, the water, integration of both. The Emperor, this is coming into, and we kind of have like the Empress and the Emperor here. So again, a yin and a yang, a completion, a sense of coming into, you know, again, the Lovers, that's reiterating the Lovers in a certain sense, coming into full integration, which allows us to come into our power. I mean, the Emperor is all the kings in one. So we are actually in our thinking coming to, you know, or I guess the advice is come in some ways into your yang energy, you know, embrace ambition. Yang energy is that traditionally masculine energy, Martian energy, moving forward, which is interesting because sometimes people think of Pluto as like the higher octane of Mars, you know? So I think, you know, Pluto rules Scorpio, or Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, I should say. But in the past, you know, before Pluto was discovered, Scorpio was ruled by Mars. That was the thinking. So there is that sort of duality of Mars energy within, I think, Pluto. So, okay. So jumping into our yang, jumping into that forward momentum, into asserting our thoughts in the world, actually confidently, but still with compassion. Yeah, that's a lot of what I'm getting here. Let's get another advice card. This is from the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck here. Further advice on how to keep the forward momentum going with our positive thoughts. We have yang energy, we have strategic thinking, we have balancing our emotions, making sure our emotions come into a settled, healed state before we try to engage in, you know, important thinking, you know, allowing time to heal, allowing time to rest, before we think about the future, before we become strategic and make moves, you know, which helps prevent that negative thinking, right? Okay, so what are we missing, Spirit? What else is there here? Oh, wow. Okay. Love it. This is so lovely. This is so lovely. Okay. 10, 11. Forward movement. We are moving forward. Corn is super manifestation energy. Golden. It's golden opportunities. And it's also abundance that we can feed everybody, right? It's also 10, Wheel of Fortune. So the divine, connecting our hearts to our minds, to spirit, to the divine, and to that faith that our luck is going to change and our luck is coming, and, you know, good things are happening here. Good things are happening to us. And also, you know, being generous with others and generous with our hearts, you know, back to the Page of Cups, generous with our pure hearts, generous with our, generous with the way we communicate our affection to others, in fact. You know, generous with not being, you know, and I was talking about comparing and jealousy. That's really a scarcity mindset. And corn is all about an abundance mindset, of believing there is enough for everybody. And when we share, when we respect each other, there is enough for everybody. So kind of getting out of that more jealous, you know, because that means that if somebody else has something good, I can't, or if somebody else is beautiful, I'm not. And that's not true. You know, we're all beautiful souls. We're, you know, if you're here on earth, you're meant to be here and you're important, you know, and that has to do with abundance mindset too. Okay, so smoky mirror. It has to do with how things come together, how they fall apart, the shadow parts of the human psyche that someone, you know, that we can sometimes collectively disown, right? We don't want to face. So we're being invited to see beyond our own selves, which really goes with the corn too. So maybe our thinking, maybe we need to also start thinking bigger. We need to start thinking about how we can use our individual gifts and talents when we come into that positive thinking and into that manifestation energy, that we need to actually expand our thinking bigger. How do we manifest for the collective? Wow, I really just got this whole download about manifesting for the collective and the conversations that we have with one another. And, we can sit around sometimes and lament, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end, the apocalypse, yada, yada, right? But that we also need to manifest on a collective level. We need to dream a positive future into existence. So we've had some distortion in I'm seeing the water and the calmness of this water. So when we don't give space to our heart to be truthful, honest, to experience our feelings, when we don't allow quiet, then our thinking, again, it becomes foggy, and we need to let the water settle, and then our thinking will become more abundant and more clear. I'm just looking at the book for a second here. It's also a story of responsibility and accountability too. This card, 11, Justice. So I think there's actually this final message from Spirit that it's time for us to be thinking beyond just ourselves, but not in a don't be so selfish and think about yourself, not in that sense, but more in the sense of, as I love myself, as I embrace my unique skills and talents, as I, become comfortable with my heart and integrate it into myself, and then become more truthful and more authentic, how can I be of service? How can I be of service? So yeah, that's the big message that I have for this transit in tarot. Mercury conjunct Pluto, that's the healing and that's the forward momentum. So I think that was just such a beautiful message. So thank you so much for being here. If you made it to the end, you're a hero. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, share, comment if you have any thoughts on anything I said. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this video. I can hardly remember what I even said. But I hope you got something out of it. So always just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And thank you again. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.